So now we're going to get into the healthcare fraud scam ran by Mobile Crisis, which is a local crisis line in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is item 2 on my list of allegations. And so for this, you'll need the Mobile Crisis scam zip file, and also the Mobile Crisis Analysis zip file. The Mobile Crisis Analysis is a bunch of videos that you can watch independently of this. Now we go into a lot more detail on a lot of stuff that occurs, but I'll give you an overview here of how to validate this crime. Now this crime probably requires an expert. I had my old psychologist John, who was he is the assistant. He is a very highly credentialed psychologist, and he could tell by looking at these crisis lines notes, just by looking at them, that they were flat out fraud. But I'll go ahead and get into here. Actually, so right now you should have a privacy violation zip file, Mobile Crisis Scam, and Mobile Crisis Analysis. So in this privacy violation zip file, in the folder, for the unzip folder for that, you have this call on 4/16/2019. Okay, these mobile crisis counselors come to visit me on 4/17/2019. So you want to notice how completely coherent and logical and everything else I am in this audio, in this recorded call on 4/16. You want to make a note of how clear, logical, coherent I am, how Jenny's explanations are bullshit, how my capacity to reason is fully intact, etc. I seem to be in a state of very, very robust mental health here. And then these people come to visit me on April 17th. And I'll just show you these notes real quick. I do a whole analysis of these notes in the videos, in the Mobile Crisis Analysis. But you'll see here, when we get in here, see if I can find some of this. Paranoid thoughts and delusions. Poor hygiene, slightly overweight. My apartment was malodorous, filled with empty food and trash containers. Irritable defenses, guarded, agitated. I've got disorganized thought processes. I've got tangential and disorganized thought processes. Keep going here. Concern was very disorganized. A friend called because he's concerned he's paranoid delusional. Let me find some more of this. If you didn't see those, very disorganized. Sorry, I need to highlight these. Very disorganized. Paranoid and delusional. Okay, despite my tangential thought processes and paranoia. Okay, I get a list of my diagnoses there, which are kind of, well, it's mostly accurate. My history. Find some more here. Trying to find here. So we've got more tangential thought processes. So now I've had tangential thought processes. I've had tangential thought patterns. I've had paranoia, paranoid delusions, and an active psychosis. And now I've got a paranoid state. There's another new one. I don't think they've got tangential thought patterns and paranoid state. Okay? And I'll quit here, but basically what they do... Actually, let me go back to this page 1 here. Where's Ginger Marsh? Okay, so Ginger Marsh is a certified substance abuse counselor who has diagnosed me as psychotic based on a 3-minute phone call. Okay, I mean this is such a total load of bullshit. But basically, what happens is these crisis counselors come to my apartment, and they talk to me, and I won't get into too detail because I go over this in the analysis videos. They talk to me for a good bit of time, and I've had a very, very bad day, but I'm otherwise fine. And that's what they tell me when they leave. They tell me that I'm perfectly fine, that I just had a bad day, that I'm not going to hurt anybody, that I just need a cheeseburger or play on my computer, and I'll be fine. So after telling me that I need to eat a cheeseburger or play on my computer, they go and prepare this bullshit from point A to point Z healthcare record. I mean, this is the biggest load of shit I've ever seen in my life. And I'll again remind you, this is on April 17, a day after this call with Jenny. And in these notes, they make all kinds of blatantly false statements. So they say that my apartment's malodorous. My apartment is not malodorous. I've asked my paid house cleaner. I've asked the maintenance men that came to my apartment. Nobody's ever said that my apartment has a bad odor at all. I'm a single man. I next to never cook. I don't have meat or produce to rot. My house does get messy, but it never ever smells. I've confirmed that. They claim that I sweat inside a cool apartment. I do not. They say that I have bad hygiene. So I have bad teeth because I didn't take care of my teeth when I was a kid. Other than that, I have good hygiene. That general characterization is false. And then one of the big dead giveaways is they describe me as overweight. Okay, let me see if I can find this here. Actually, I'm going to find this in here. Okay, yeah, here we go. Overweight, disheveled, poor hygiene. Okay. Now, 70% of people are overweight. Do they put this on 70% of the reports? The only function of this detail is to cast me in the worst light possible. And why are they doing this? Well, I'll get into that in the next video. Okay, so why would they do this? Got to go back. When they first visited me in my apartment, it was two counselors, Allison, Allie Rowe, and Sherry Horton. So Cheryl Horton, Allison Rowe, Sherry, Allie. And Sherry, throughout the whole time that these counselors are at my apartment, she is focused on two questions and two questions only. She interrupts me as I'm giving my narrative repeatedly to ask, do you have a mental illness? Okay. And the second thing is, what's your diagnosis? So as I'm going through my narrative and I'm telling them about my life's history and stuff like this, she would stop me and say, so that's your diagnosis. Anytime I mention something about my mental health history, she's trying to pin down, do I have a mental illness and what's my diagnosis? Allie is a shorter Caucasian woman, and she listens to my narrative and asks me different questions. And it was more of a genuine interaction with her, whereas again, she only had two questions to ask the whole time that she was focused on obsessively. After I get out of the hospital, Jenny spills the beans to me that these counselors went to her with one of these counselors, Allie Rowe, went with her to the magistrate's office, and I started to get the sense that this Allie Rowe is Jenny's personal friend. And it became obvious what happened is the reason that they're zeroed in on, do you have a mental illness and what's your diagnosis, is that one of the criteria to file one of these civil commitment petitions that they filed is the person has to have a mental illness. And the people behind this that have set this up, they probably think that the magistrate's not going to take Jenny's word for it, that they... they need some kind of medical person, so they get these crisis counselors who have credentials in social work and stuff like this. They get them to. When I first learned this, I thought that Jenny ran this scam. At the time that Jenny tells me about Allie going to the magistrate's office, I didn't realize that Wells Fargo was behind it. And I thought that Allie had just done Jenny a favor as Jenny's personal friend. And of course, Jenny's looking like the scam artist of the century. I have no idea what the hell's going on with Jenny. However, once I retrieved these records in February 2020, it became obvious to me this healthcare record, which is blatant fraud, that this is a serious crime. People are not going to do this for free. And so I looked up Allie Rowe on the Mecklenburg County Public Records. She lives in Charlotte. She lives in Mecklenburg County. And I looked at the real estate records, and here's what I found. Okay, on March 16th, 2018, Allie Rowe and her husband Matthew buy a house for $195,000. I know the $195 because this excise tax in North Carolina is $1 per $500 of sale price. So you multiply $390 by 500, you get the sale price. And you'll see here, this is Matthew and Allison Rowe, and they are they're the grantee, and so they're buying this house on March 18th, 2016. Now in North Carolina, when you get a mortgage, you have a deed of trust, or record the mortgage debt. And so here we have again on March 16th, 2018. We have a mortgage here between Matthew and Allison Rowe. They're the borrowers, and they are borrowing $189,150. And this loan will mature April 1st, 2048. So it's 2018, March 2018. They've got a 30-year amortization. Now let's look here at what happens on July 23rd, 2019, 3 months after Allie visits me. I certify that the debt, here we go, I'll skip this. I certify that the debt or other obligation in the amount of $189,150 secured by the deed of trust, and all these people here, was acknowledged by the beneficial owner to be paid in full and satisfied on July 23rd, 2019. Now I checked Mecklenburg County Public Records. There is no record of a refinance. There is no record of this property being sold. Allie has paid this mortgage balance off in full and owns the house free and clear as of July 23rd, 2019, 3 months after she visits me. Now, how much would her mortgage balance have been? How much it would have been at that time? I can't tell you for sure, but I can estimate using a simple amortization table. And what I've come up with, and the only variable in question, because we know the amount of the loan, we know the principal, we know it's a 30-year amortization. The only variable in question is the interest rate, and I just picked this. I Googled the average interest rate for the time in question to generate this amortization table. And as of July of 2019, she would have owed about $186,000. Now you can mess around with this interest rate. Now she owes 184, 185. Now she owes 184. Now she owes 183,000. You can mess around with that, and you get that when she paid this mortgage off, she had to pay a total sum of between $183,000 and $186,000 all at once. Who is the big money player in here that has a vested interest that could afford to pay off Allie Rowe's mortgage? The answer is obvious. This is Wells Fargo is behind this. This thing where Jenny keeps telling me that I'm paranoid, I have a paranoid delusion. This way of weaseling out of what has occurred, this is not authored by Jenny. This is Wells Fargo's idea, and they have paid this crisis line to create this record, which can be subpoenaed later in court proceedings. If I ever file a lawsuit with Wells Fargo, this can be subpoenaed, and it can also be useful to substantiate this false pretense, fraudulent civil commitment petition that Jenny and Allie Rowe filed on April 21st. On the next video, I want to explain some more things about this mobile crisis scam and how that you can validate that this is a scam. So here are some more details about how you can validate this scam with mobile crisis. The first is, go back to this privacy violation. When you listen to this call, you'll see how clear and coherent and logical that I am. There's nothing wrong with me on 4/16/2019. These counselors visit me on 4/17/2019, one day after this call. What you'll also want to notice on this call on Evidence ID 2, you want to notice how Jenny repeatedly wants to speak to my doctor in private. Jenny wants private time between my doctor and her. She wants me to give her my doctor's number, or she wants me to give my doctor Jenny's number so that my doctor can call Jenny. She's insistent on private time with my doctor and Jenny. Then, after that doesn't work, she starts to repeatedly want me to talk to these crisis counselors. Now, what's going on here? Well, the reason she wants to talk to my doctor is because Wells Fargo wants to pay off my doctor to get them involved in their scam. And when that doesn't work, they have these crisis counselors come over. Then, going back to the mobile crisis scam folder, I have my notes from my inpatient stay at Atrium Health. This file is misnamed. This is a 4/22/19 hospital stay. But what happens, and we'll get into this in the next set of videos, is that Jenny and Allie Rowe filed a fraudulent false pretense civil commitment petition to have me forcibly hospitalized on April 21st. And the police come and get me on April 21st. I'm taken to Atrium Health's inpatient unit, and I'm checked in. I'm admitted to the hospital at about 3 o'clock to 3:30 a.m. Between 3 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. on 4/22/19. And I've left the notes for that stay in this folder. And I'll show you something here. Go to page 37. This is where they conclude that there's nothing wrong with me at Atrium Health. This note here was made on April 24th, 2019. But to make this simpler, I've extracted some of the comments from Atrium Health in these notes, because these are 225 pages. But here's some notes made by a psychiatrist assistant on 4/23/19. Okay, and you can read this, and I'll include this in the package. I'll go ahead and put this in the zip file. So when you get this zip file, you'll have this summary here. But you'll see here that there's they conclude there's nothing wrong with me on 4/23/19. On 4/24/19, before I'm discharged, they have these comments. And what happens at Atrium Health, they determine there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. That I'm admitted in the early hours of April 22nd, 2019. By April 23rd, 2019, they've concluded there's nothing wrong with me, and they're making arrangements for me to be discharged. And because of the legal process that they have to go through, they can't discharge me immediately on April 23rd, 19. They have to set it up and get the process rolling so that I can be out of there on April 24th, 2019. So we have the following revolution in my mental health. Okay, on 4/16/2019, when I'm calling Jenny on that call, I'm fine, I'm logical, I'm coherent, my ability to reason is solidly, I'm intact, I'm calling bullshit on all of Jenny's explanations, I'm perfectly fine. Then magically, on April 17th, 2019, when me and Jenny are calling Ginger Marsh at the crisis line, I'm psychotic. These counselors come to my apartment. I've got tangential thought processes. I'm psychotic, active psychosis, paranoid thought patterns, disorganized. And so that happens. Then on April 22nd, 2019, I'm at this hospital for examination, and on April 23rd, 2019, my thoughts appear linear, goal-directed, future-oriented. Thought content is logical, no bizarre, no overt hallucinations, paranoia, grandiosity, flight of ideas, or disorganization. Okay, and then on April 24th, 2019, this continues, and as opposed to being active psychosis, paranoid thought patterns, tangential thought processes, paranoid state, all of this garbage they put, I am well composed and insightful. Okay, this is extraordinarily implausible. This doesn't happen. If there had been anything wrong with me on April 22nd, 2019, when I'm admitted to this hospital, or on April 21st, 2019, when they first, I'm delivered there in the late hours of April 21st, 19, I don't see a doctor until April 22nd in the morning. There would have been something wrong. You don't just magically cure like this in one day, and so this is obvious bullshit. And like I say, my psychologist that was helping me, he could tell these notes were fraudulent just by looking at them at first glance. You can also listen to this 4/17/19 call with me and Jenny. I've got the segment trimmed out where we're calling the crisis line, and you can see I'm perfectly fine in this call as well. And so hopefully you can see, the viewer of this video, if you're made it to this point, you can see that this is a very transparent scam. One caution I will give you is don't look at this evidence ID 35 too deeply. I'll put these comments made by the PA and made by the nurse practitioner at Atrium Health. I'll put this Word doc in the folder. The reason you don't want to pay too much attention to this evidence ID 35 right now is because there's a lot to explain about these notes, and there are some things in these notes that could mislead you if you don't know the context. So in the next set of videos, we're going to get into this fraudulent civil commitment process in the next part of this scam. And in that video, in that set of videos, I'll explain these notes on evidence ID 35. But for now, the relevant parts are that, again, they visited me on 4/17/2019. I've got all this wrong with me, apparently. They make all these bullshit notes. Magically, by 4/23/2019, I've got these professionals, and I'm perfectly fine. And I'm also perfectly fine on 4/16/19. So again, I don't want to beat this in the ground anymore. These notes are obvious bullshit. Allie Rowe's been paid to do this, and what I picture has happened is they've entered negotiations either through Jenny or through Wells Fargo. Have strong reason to believe Allie Rowe's Jenny's personal friend. And they've discussed, what would it take? How much would you ask for to do this? And Allie's thought about it and said, well, if I could pay off my mortgage, then that would make it all right. And of course, Wells Fargo, a $200,000 mortgage, $185,000 mortgage is nothing to them. They're going to do this just fine. And that's quite obviously what has happened.